Hello, good people, parents, learners, and my fellow facilitators. Welcome back to our channels. And in our today's session, I would like us to discuss more. Here we are discussing more on last year's creative art and sport, that is grade 9 national exam that they did. So I want us to discuss more on this paper and see how the learner was supposed to tackle each question, and we are going to discuss each answer. So we are starting with the part 1, that is the part of performing arts. So question 1, we are being told that in music, what is the effect of a dot placed after a note? So this is grade 9 concept. So here, the effect of a dot in music, we find that it extends the duration of a note by a half. It extends the duration of a note by a half. I take an example. We have a dotted minim, a dotted minim. The value of minim, we all know its bit is 2. So the value of a minim is 2. But when we place a dot after that note, which is a minim, that dot is a half the value of that minim. So the value of minim is 2. So 2, a half of 2 is 1. So you find that that dot is equivalent to 1. So we are going to take 2 bits of the minim plus that one value of a dot. So that note is going to have 3 bits. I hope there we are together. It extends the duration of the note by a half. Regardless of any note, it's a half. So you just take the value of that note, make it a half of that dot. If it's a semi-brief, the value of semi-brief is 4. So a half of 4 is 2. So for you to get the number of bits that that note has, it's 2 plus 4. You get 6. Question number 2. Study the following diagram of a keyboard and answer the questions that follow. So when you talk about a keyboard, we usually have the white keys and black keys. The white keys are usually down, and black keys, they are the ones that are in black color. So for example, the keyboard that we have been given, we have one white key, which is X, that has been named, and we have 2 black keys that have been named, that is Y and Z. So first, we are going to start with naming the white keys and the black keys. So we take the scale of C. We are going to start with C. We have C, D, E, F, G. We have A and B. Those notes are down there. All of them are white keys. I haven't named any black key. So after that, now we want to see. Remember, we have the effect of accidentals. They either raise or lower. We have a flat that will lower the duration, and we have a sharp that will raise the duration. So that's what is going to help us on dealing with the black keys here. So for example, we have said number X or letter X, it is a white key, and that is D. So X is D, that is correct. Let's go to Y and Z. You find that where we have Y, the white key is F. The white key is F, which is down, it's F. When we move it up, we are increasing the duration, so we are using a sharp. So we get F sharp. Are we together up to there? When we go to after F, we go to G. After G, we go to A. Now, A is a white key. When we reduce it or we take it back, we are using a flat, so we are reducing. So we take it back to where we have Z, which is a black key. So that one, it will be A flat. A flat. That's how you would handle that question. I hope up to there we are good. If you have any query on that, let me know. Question number 3. Which of the following is an economic role of creative arts? When you talk about roles of creative arts, the learners have to know that we have two categories. We have the social roles and economic roles. And I usually tell my learners that when you see economic, we are dealing with those roles that bring money into our pockets. And when we deal with social, it's about how we interact with people, how this uh, the creative art and sport as a learning area make us to interact with people. And when you get that concept, there's no way you will fail a question on roles of creative art in the society. So here, the correct role was creates employment. When you are employed, you are going to be paid. When you are paid, you are going to improve your living standard. So that means it's economic. Create diversity, that is a social role. Promote citizenship, that is a social role. And promotes unity, that is social role. Question number 4. The following rhythm is written in musical note symbols. Select the option that represents this rhythm in French rhythm name. So this was an easy question. The correct answer was part C. The correct answer was part C. Question number 5, it's about a descant recorder. So the following diagram shows the fingering of a note on a descant recorder. And remember, fingering is one of the techniques that is used in playing descant recorder. We have other techniques like pinching, which are used in playing descant recorder. We have tonguing, we have blending, slurring, tone quality. So those are the techniques. So here, which note is represented by this fingering? So the note that is played here is note E, note E, note E, where we are closing the back hole and we close the first to fifth hole. We close the first hole, second hole, third hole, fourth hole, and fifth hole. Then we close the back hole, but sixth and seventh hole are left opened. Question number 6. Learners at Harambe Junior School sang the following melody. So the melody is there. So which solfa names did they sing? The solfa name was Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. So that is part A. Question 7. The following rhythm consists of notes and rest. So what is the correct order of the note symbol represented by the rest? So the first rest is for crochet, the second one is for a minim, and the last one is for a semi-brief. Remember, the rest for a minim, it usually faces up. When you draw the line is at bottom, so it faces up. And for the semi-brief, it faces down. So the line that when you draw the line is up, but it faces down. So the correct answer there was A. Correct answer, question 7 was A. Question 8. What do the following signs instruct a performer to do in music? So we are in grade 9, that is under the performance directions, dynamics. So the first one is crescendo and the second one is decrescendo. So crescendo, it usually means gradually getting louder, and decrescendo means gradually getting softer. So the correct answer was part B. We have other performance directions like ralentando, we have retardando, we have a tempo. So those are just some of the performance directions that a musician can use when performing the music. Question 9. Which of the following statement best describes the technique of pinching on the descant recorder? That's grade 9 work under the descant recorder. Sorry for that. So when we talk about pinching technique, we are talking about a technique whereby the player is closing the back hole or the thumb hole a half. So it's a technique of half closing of the thumb hole to attain high pitches. So here you find that when you talk about this one, we have other terms that or techniques like tonguing, slurring, tone quality, blend, balance, and blowing are some of the techniques that are used in playing the Descant recorder. So here the correct answer was the half closing of the thumb hole to attain high pitches. Question 10. During a folk song performance, the soloist kept taking breaths after each and every word, thus interfering with the flow of the singing. Which technique of performance was the soloist supposed to work on? So we have here I have some of the techniques that we need to explain, part A up to D. When you talk about diction, we are talking about a technique whereby we are properly pronouncing words when singing. Proper pronunciation of words when singing. Then expression are terms and signs in music performance that should be well interpreted. Then phrasing, when you talk about phrasing, we are performing a given music line without unnecessary breaks. It's like a sentence. It's like a sentence. Paraphrasing is like you read a sentence up to the end where we have a full stop. So in music, that is phrasing. When you sing a certain line of a piece of music up to the end. For example, we have a Kenyan national anthem where we have Mungu nguvu yetu. So when I sing that line, I'm phrasing it. Then we have projection. We talk about voice projection here. It's a state of ensuring that your voice is heard or your voice is audible. Sometimes you will hear teachers telling learners, can you be audible? So it's about voice projection. You project your voice. So the correct answer there was A, diction. Question 11. Which of the following musical sign is correctly matched with its function? Remember, I have talked about it in question 1, where we have the accidentals, we have the flat, we have the sharp, and we have the natural. So they perform a specific function in music. For example, when you talk about a flat, it lowers the pitch by a semitone. A sharp, it raises the pitch by a semitone, and a natural, it restores the pitch by a half, and forte. Forte is not an accidental, it's a performance direction and a dynamic. That means the music should be played loud. So, for example, part A, that symbol is for flat. Part B, it's for a sharp. Part C, it's for a natural. And part D, that symbol is for forte. So the correct answer was C. Natural restores the pitch by a semitone. Question 12. Which of the following is not an element of a play? We go back to grade 9 work. Elements of a play, we have language, plot, theme, characters, setting, dialogue, act, scene, and more. So here the one which is not element is ornaments. Ornaments is found under the components of a folk song or components of a folk dance. That's where we found ornaments, props, costumes. We have gender, we have occasion, we have origin. Those are components of a folk song or a folk dance. Question 13. The following are elements of a story except grade 7 work. Elements of a story. We have characters, plot, setting, and theme. So you find that exposition is a component under plot, where we have exposition, the beginning of the story. We have the rising action, we have the climax, we have the falling action, and we have the resolution. Those are the components of a plot and not elements of a story. Question 14. Which of the following best describes how to effectively use voice in storytelling. So, in storytelling, we use voice, we use body, we use space around us. So, how do we use voice? Voice, we can use it by making it loud and soft. We can make the voice sound rough and then sweet. We can speak quickly, then slowly, or we can sing a song related to the story. That is how we use voice. Now, how do we use body? Body in storytelling, we use it by use of hand movement in form of gestures, nodding the head, jumping, taking steps. You can dance. And lastly, we have space around us. When we are storytelling, we can make meaningful movements, for example, forward, backward, and sideways movements. That's how we use the stage. And that one is done by a person who deals with choreography, the choreographer. Remember, it's one of the career that we talked about, uh, or we'll talk about earlier. So let's go to question number 15. Roles of props. Roles of props. Uh, Roles of props in folk song performance, we say that props accompany the characters, they help to reveal characters, they help to move audience from real world to the imaginary world. So this year they brought the role of props. Next year they can bring the role of costumes. So costumes, they are used to tell a story. They bring out the characters, and they help to tell the setting of the skit, and they make actors appear real. So, sometimes you will find questions asking you about the difference between costume and props. So, you find that costumes are clothes used by actors when acting, while props are the objects used by actors on stage. So, get the difference between the two. So the correct answer on question number 15 was C. C, where which I've talked about the characters, they enhance the characters in the performance. The last question, that is question number 16 in this part 1, the kayamba is used in folk song performance too. So here we talk about the role of musical instruments in folk song performance. So the first one, they enrich the texture of the performance. They also provide rhythmic accompaniment. Some of them play melodic line of a story, like a dongo. Those are the percussion ones. They also maintain the tempo of the performance. And lastly, they show the cultural identity of the performer. So those are some of the ways on how the learners were supposed to tackle each question under this part of music. Let's meet or let's move to part 2 of the paper, and that's the part of sport. So the second part of the creative art and sport paper is this part of sport. Remember, we have just finished the first part of the music. So the second part is this part of sport. So let's go through the questions that were touching on sport and see how the learner was supposed to attend to these questions. And remember, we are discussing deeply and touching on some areas that maybe they can appear in this year's exam. So let's go to question number 17. And question number 17 was about grade 9 learners discussed different careers in sports. So which of the following is one of the sports career? So remember, when we talk about careers, we have those careers which relate on the visual art and theater, and lastly we have those that don't touch on the sport part. So here we talk about the components that make up creative art and sport, and each component has got its own careers. So when we talk about sports career, we can talk about professional athlete, sport coach, we have sport agent, we have sport journalist, games and sport teacher, we have sport news anchor. So those are just part of the careers that relate with sport. And when you talk about visual art careers, we have a painter, we have a sculptor, we have a photographer, a ceramic artist, we have art teacher, we also have the web designer, we have animator, we have an art therapist. So those are the ones that touch on visual art careers. On the part of music and dance, we have a music composer, music performer, stage director, choreographer, dance photographer, and music teacher. Then the last component, that's film and theater, we have casting director, a voice coach, a publicist, we have a playwright, a set and stage director, then prop manager. These are just few careers that are related to these components of creative art and sport. So when we go back to our question, the question was clear. The learner was supposed to highlight a career that relates with the component of sport. And when we go through the careers, for example, part A, cheering and dancing during sport events, then drawing and painting sports items, so that's under visual. We have training athletes for competition, that's under sport. Writing songs about events, so that's under uh, music and dance. So the first one is not a career relating to this component. So the correct answer was C. Question 18, it's about, sorry, uh, question 18, sorry for that. So, question 18, it's about grade 7 learners were taught how to throw up and catch two tennis balls alternately without dropping any. Which component of physical fitness was the teacher developing in the learners? So we talk about component of physical fitness. Remember, we have agility, we have coordination, we have balance, we have strength, and we have power. So under this one, when you talk about agility, we talk about is the ability to rapidly change the position of the whole body in space with speed and control. And also we have the reaction time as a component. Then here the correct answer was C, coordination, which is the ability to use uh, two or more body parts together efficiently at the same time to achieve a goal. Then question 19, it was about during a sport lesson, a teacher introduced the sequence of javelin throw. Which of the following presents the correct order of the throw? When we talk about the correct order, we talk about from the first one to the last one. So according to the curriculum design that is for grade 7, the rationalized curriculum, the phases we have the carriage phase. Under the carriage phase, we have the grip, because you can't carry that javelin without holding it. So when you hold it, we are talking about you gripping it. So it's under the carriage phase. Then we have the approach phase as the second one. And after that, we have the crossover phase, then release. We have the follow through phase, and lastly, you have to recover after releasing or after following through. So, according to my uh, uh, explanation here, we find that the answer that followed these phases, it was B. Respond number B. When we go to number that's number 20. Junior school learners were practicing a skill in handball where the ball was held at a waist level across the body with the back of the hand facing upward. The elbow was extended outwardly to release the ball towards the closest teammate, running parallel to the thrower. So the question was, identify the skill that the learner demonstrated. So here we are talking about a type of passes in handball, and that is grade 7 work. Type of passes in handball, grade 7 work. So let's talk about, we have side pass. A side pass in handball is made by passing the ball to the side, usually at an angle that makes it difficult for the opponent to intercept, and it is usually used for moving ball sideways across the court. Then we also have the jump pass, which is performed when a player is in mid-air, and it is used to pass the ball over defenders. And lastly, we have the flick pass, which is a short pass executed with a twist of the wrist, and it is usually used to surprise the defenders, since it is a quick and deceptive pass. So, from the response that we have been given there, the correct answer is supposed to be D, that is side pass D. Chest pass, that one is not in handball, according to the rationalized curriculum that was introduced, that is 2024. Then, question number 21, it's about during a game of football, the striker kicked the ball aiming at a specific part of the goal away from the goalkeeper. Identify the most appropriate skill that striker used. So maybe it's a penalty shot. So we are talking about shooting skills in football, and here the correct answer was supposed is place shot, the place shot. So the striker tried to place the ball away from the goalkeeper. So we call it a placed shot. So that is response number A. Question number 22. Uh, During a sport lesson, grade 8 learners were introduced to 800 meters race. So identify the rule that ensures that all the learners cover the same distance. So here we are talking about middle distance races, and that is grade 8 question, 1500 meters. So when you talk about this one, for 800 meters, the athletes assume a position of staggered position, and in 1500 meters, the athletes take a position of standing. They start the race while standing, while in 800 meters, they take a position of staggering. So the positions, they ensure that the athletes have the same distance to cover. No one advantages the other one. For question number 23, we have during a game of netball, a player committed a fall, a footwork mistake, and the referee blew whistle and gave the ball to the opponent. So identify the mistake that the player may have committed. So we are talking about footwork rules in netball, and footwork, we find that it's a description of feet movement that takes place after landing with the ball. So some of the rules that the players have to observe is that after landing on the landing foot, the player has to step with the other foot and lift the landing foot and throw the ball, or the player had to pivot on the landing foot and move the other or any the other foot any number of times he or she might like, but observing the rules of the footwork. So here the correct answer was A. The player made more than one step while holding the ball. Remember, here you have to observe the rule of 3 seconds. So if you don't release that ball within 3 seconds, you have disobeyed that rule, and you are going to be penalized for that. For question 24, we say that the following diagram shows a skill used in volleyball. So we are back in volleyball. So we have skills in volleyball, and some of the skills, the first one is digging. So digging is a skill used to play the ball when it comes below the waist level of a player, and it is used for reception and setting. So it's a pass, it's a type of a pass. Then service. Service, we say that is the act of putting the ball into play by the right back player at the start of each set or after a team uh, had gotten a point. Then we have spiking. So spiking is the act of jumping in the air beside the net and hitting the ball forcefully down into the opponent's court. Then we have volleying skill, where two-handed overhead skill used for setting the ball before spiking. So from the explanation I have given on the skills, we find that the correct answer is D, volleying skill. Question number 25, we say that during triple jump competition, a learner had a red flag lifted after a jump. What could have been a possible reason for the red flag being lifted? So in athletics, in athletics we have this type of flags. Let me talk about the white flag and the red flag. So we have red flag, we have white flag, and we have yellow flag. So for the red flag, when you see an umpire lifting the red flag, it means that you have infringed some rules, and there maybe that jump is invalid, so it will not be counted. Or if you are running on you are taking part in a certain race and you see a red flag, that means that you have been disqualified. So when you see a white flag, it means that you are on the right track. What you have done is correct. And when you see a yellow flag, that means that you are given a warning. So here, it means that the athlete landed outside the side of the pit. So that is not what the athlete was supposed to do. He was supposed to land inside the landing pit. For question number 26, where we have been told that Mateka was asked by the teacher to perform a pass in rugby where he held the ball vertically, the lower part using both hands, and threw it into the air towards the teammate. Which of the following passes did Mateka perform? So the type of pass that Mateka performed was spin pass. Remember, in rugby, we have type of passes where we have the spin pass, we have the pop pass, uh, and so on. Question number 27, a grade 9 learner performed passing skills used in a game of basketball. Identify the skill that is used to pass the ball accurately at high speed over short distance. Accurately at high speed over short distance. Let's start with these are type of passes in basketball. So chest pass. Chest pass is a pass that involves passing the ball directly from the chest area to a teammate using both hands. Then it is used to pass the ball accurately and at high speed over short distance. Bounce pass, it involves passing the ball to a teammate by bouncing it off the floor, and it is used when teammates are not within direct reach to receive a chest pass, or it's used to pass the ball over defenders. Then we have the overhead pass, which involves passing the ball over the head with both hands, and it is used where there is a large distance between teammates. So this one is used for long distance. So the correct answer was chest pass. The last question under sport, Mambo performed well during the intergrade football game competition. So what is the best thing Mambo's parents should do to make him excel in the exam? So this is a question that the learner is supposed to apply the values and that they have learned. So here, the parents have to enroll him in a sports academy because he is well performing in sport activities. So that's what the learner was supposed to answer in the part of sport, and I have elaborated some of the areas that you are supposed to discuss before picking the correct answer. So let's go to the part 3, that's the part of visual art under section A. So let's touch on the last part, that's part 3 of this Kjsea paper, visual arts. And you find that this part is one of the part that usually gives learners a lot of challenges in answering these questions, because remember it's an area that it's integrated in music and the other part of the sport. So you find that most of the facilitators find it very difficult to tackle this area of visual arts, since it is somehow hidden inside those the two parts. So question number 29 under this part was that a junior school hosted a successful art exhibition. Which of the following describes the role of creative arts achieved through the exhibition? Remember, exhibition is one of the last part that is covered in each strand under the grades. So under that part, we have that part of art exhibition where the learners are supposed to display their artworks, and when they are displaying their artworks, they have to follow a certain criteria on how displayed. And one of the reasons why they are displaying their artwork is to get feedback from their peers and from the teachers. But now, this question is touching on it where the learners were exhibiting the artwork. Uh, so what was the reason? So you find that the reason for it was that the economic empowerment through art sales. Because remember, as we teach them, those will be choosing the art pathway. Their main reason is for them to earn a living through the artwork. So after any artist has created his artwork or her artwork, the last step is for that artist to display the artwork to the uh, buyers, so that at the end of it he can earn an income from it. So the correct answer was part B, economic empowerment through art sales. Question 30, during an art lesson, a learner applied a thin diluted layer of colors to cover the background in their landscape painting. So which technique did they use? So the technique that was used here was wash technique, which is in grade 8. Remember, in grade 8 we have wash technique and splatter technique. Question number 31. The following motif illustrates a type of balance. So this is motif in collaboration with the principle of balance. So the type of balance illustrated is, so here the type of balance that was being illustrated was radial balance, and in radial balance you find that the dots are spread out from a central point in all direction, and all parts radiate from the center. So the origin of the pattern is from the center, so it's radiation, so radial balance. Question number 32. Which two stages of drawing are shown in the following illustration? So here the stage that was shown is the sketching and shading. Sketching and shading, where you find that the first image shows a symbol outlines, that is a sketch, and the second image shows tones and shadows added onto it, which is shading. Question number 33. The following reproduction of a still life painting was displayed for an art critic session. So, which of the following suggestions can improve the paintings without changing the color scheme? So there you find that it can be done by adding highlights with white. So when you add highlights with white, white is going to increase the contrast and make the object appear more realistic without changing the existing color scheme of the of the reproduction still life painting. Question number 34. Patterns are used to enhance the beauty of traditional ornaments. So what type of patterns was used in the following ornament? So here the type of pattern that was used is a regular repeat pattern. Regular repeat pattern. So you find that the same geometric shapes are repeated. So it's a repetition of the pattern. So it's regular repeat pattern where the geometric shapes are repeated in an orderly, consistent manner. Question number 35. Zuka displayed a carving for sale, but no buyer showed interest. What should Zuka do to make the carving more appealing? So here, Zuka has to improve on the finishing techniques, and a well-finished carving looks smoother, cleaner, and more attractive to buyers, and good finishing increases its market value. Then question number 36. To achieve strong contrast and create vibrant focal points, an artist choose to use complementary colors. So, which of the following pairs of colors is considered complementary on the color wheel? So here we have uh, uh, red and green are complementary colors. We can also have blue, orange, or yellow, violet. Question 37. Analyze the following picture of a guard and answer the questions that follow. Which two techniques were used to decorate the guard? So the technique that was used was engraving and painting. Engraving and painting. So we find that the curved lines indicate engraving, while the colored surfaces shows painting. Then we have question number 38, where we have which of the following steps shows the correct order in the tie and dye fabric decoration process. So tie and dye is an area that is covered in grade 8 under fabric decoration. So the correct step was being we dampen the fabric, then we tie the fabric and dip in dye, then untie the fabric so that we can come up with the required patterns, and after untying it, we put it on the sun so that it can dry. Question number 39. Grade 8 learners selected blocks of softwood and carved an animal in 4 steps as follows. We have defining the features, drawing outlines, cutting away, and finishing. So which of the following shows the correct order they followed? So carving is an area, it's a substrate that is covered in grade 7. So the correct answer was D. That one we start by drawing the outlines, then we cut away the outlines. After that, we define the features, then we finish the work. And last question, when choosing lettering for a logo design, several factors should be considered. Which of the following is least considered? So this is a logo that is grade 9 work. So here, the list that has to be considered is the size of the letters, So those are the answers the learner was supposed to come up with in this part 3 under the visual art questions. So that will be the end of our session for the part section A under the uh, multiple choices questions. So let's meet in section B, where we'll be explaining each question under the section B and how the learners were supposed to answer the questions. And thank you, and may God bless you. Remember to subscribe to Brian's Academy, where learning is made easy. See you in our next lesson.